Hello, and welcome to the second edition of Education Telescope on Leadership TV. I am your host, Mariam Radio. In our maiden edition, we talked about what Education Telescope is all about, in which I said Education Telescope is aimed at bringing to you educational news and also review on some topics of what is happening in the educational sector. In our maiden edition, we talked about what Adamu, the Minister of Education, said about the incoming government appointing three more ministers for education. In today's edition, we'll be talking about ASU's half-paid salary and the consequence on university students. As usual, we'll be having two segments for today. I am not alone in the studio today, of course. We'll be having a guest, an in-house analyst in person of Henry Tiohemba. But before then, here are some education news. Removal of sex education from curriculum is Nigeria scoring another own goal? On Thursday, November 3rd, the federal government directed the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council (NERDC) to delete sex education from the basic education curriculum (BEC). The NERDC, an agency of the federal government charged with the responsibility of implementing educational policies in the country, headed by its executive secretary, Professor Ismail Junaidu. The organization, which prides itself as the think tank of Nigerian education and development. The Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, while declaring open the ministerial session of the 66th National Council on Education (NCE) meeting in Abuja with the theme Strengthening of Security and Safety in Nigerian Schools for the Achievement of Education 2030 Agenda, shocked many when he said that immediately he saw sex education in the basic education curriculum, he called the attention of the NERDC executive secretary to see that it was expunged. Adamu, who at the event described Nigeria as a religious country where morals and values are taught in churches and mosques, in addition to efforts of the parents, emphasized that these were enough to shape children's conduct. Hence, his conviction that sex education should be left in the hands of parents and religious leaders rather than school teachers. Osibanjo says Nigeria must partner private sector for education development. Vice President Yomi Osibanjo has said there is need for continued partnership with the private sector to meet the education needs of Nigerians. He also called on the regulators of the sector to ensure they sustain needed standard so that Nigeria and the African continent would not be disconnected from the rest of the world. He spoke at the 20th convocation ceremony of Igbinidian University Okada, Edo State, where the school renamed its teaching hospital after the president and founder of Christ Embassy, Reverend Chris Onyakilomi. It also conferred honorary doctorate degrees on him and Princess Osula Nku Atu. Represented by the Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, Osibanjo said, "You will recall that the first government university in Nigeria and the University of Ibadan was founded in 1948 today. Today, there are 43 federal universities and 48 state universities in the country. This shows that it has taken both the federal and the state government 74 years to establish 91 universities, whereas it has only taken the private sector 23 years to establish 79 universities. This reaffirms the need to deepen our partnership with the private sector," he said. Speaking on educational standard and quality, he said, I am referencing the speech of former Prime Minister of the Republic of Guinea. It is no longer news that the world is a global village. Universities across Africa must align with the international best practices to deliver standard and qualitative education to their students. Anything short of this, our continent will be uncompetitive. Earlier, the former Prime Minister of Republic of Guinea, Kandine Kumara, delivered the convocation lecture entitled The Role of Universities in Promoting Socio-Economic Integration in Africa. Yahya Bello inaugurates distribution of free textbooks to students. Governor Yahya Bello of Kogi has inaugurated the distribution of 11,000 free textbooks to all senior secondary school SS2 students in public schools across the state. The news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that The free chemistry and physics textbooks were sponsored and donated by Alhaji Ahmed Ododo, the Kogi Auditor General for Local Government, in support of the state government school adoption and mentorship program. Speaking at the inauguration at Abdulaziz Atta Memorial College, Okene, the governor commended the donor for the gesture in supporting education in the state. The governor, who was represented by the State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Mr. Wemi Jones, said his administration had given topmost priority to education, especially science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The governor emphasized that his commitment to revamping the education sector in the state necessitated the 30% allocation to education in the 2022 budget, even beyond the UNESCO benchmark of 26%. This, he said, had been reflected in the execution of massive education infrastructure projects as well as the ongoing recruitment of qualified secondary school teachers across the state. He added that the state had enacted an education law which empowered the ministry to sanction any person or group who tried to jeopardize the government's efforts in revamping education in the state. CBN releases $3.5 billion for foreign education under Buhari. Data obtained from the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria on Sunday revealed that Nigeria's education sector suffered massive capital flights during the regime of President Major General Muhammadu Buhari retired. Specifically using the CBN's balance of payment statistics, Nigerians have spent a hefty sum of $3.5 billion on foreign education in the past 7 years, June 2015 to August 2022. The Punch reports that education in Nigeria, most especially in the tertiary education sector, has been marred by industrial actions by the unions such as the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics. Recently, academic activities in Nigerian universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education were grounded for months in 2022. According to the CBN data gathered from amounts spent on educational services under the sectoral utilization for transactions valid for foreign exchange, a sum of $375.99 million was released by the Apex Bank between June 2015 to December 2015. Further analysis of the data revealed that a total sum of $269.1 million was released in 2016. There was a huge leap in 2017 when the Apex Bank disclosed that a total of $514.16 was released for foreign education. In 2018, a total of $546.78 was released. For 2019, there was a huge decrease as the bank released $197.52 million. It was also noted that $270.42 million was released in 2020 amidst the coronavirus pandemic. There was a huge leap in 2021 as the bank recorded a total of $720.05 million released for same purpose. So far in 2022, only the data from January to August has been made available, which revealed that a total of $609.5 million has been released so far. The data from the Apex Bank revealed that Nigerians remitted more than $3.5 billion to foreign academic institutions under Buhari without significant reciprocity in the form of inflows from foreign sources to the local education sector. ASU plans protest, declares lecture-free day. The Academic Staff Union of Universities is set to embark on a one-day nationwide protest rally over the implementation by the federal government to a no-work, no-pay policy for lecturers in the country. The protest will be organized at the branch levels of the union across public university campuses nationwide, and it will take place as a lecture-free day for all lecturers who are members. Confirming the development, a letter signed by the chairperson of ASU, University of Lagos branch, Dr. Dele Ashiru, noted that the branch will protest on Tuesday, November 15, 2022. The letter, which was addressed to all stakeholders, noted that the Special Congress protest rally against the casualization of intellectualism in Nigeria will hold on Tuesday, November 15, 2022 at Julius Berger Auditorium. And that is all for today's news on education. We will take a short break. Please stay tuned. And when we come back, we are going to introduce our guest in person of Harriet Hemba, an in-house analyst. Please stay tuned.
Oh, hello there. You must have heard that leadership is forgotten country. True, but it is also important to know we are for you right there in your corner when you need us. And this is how you know. Our coverage of youth and children's issues is so unbeatable. We even produced our special edition. When others walk away, we stay with the story. We don't just report the story, we help you find the path. We bring you some of the country's finest writers, Monday to Sunday. We ask the tough questions. We speak your language. Ina kwanan?
Lafiya lau.
Wani labari muke da shi yau?
Ina karanta labarin hirar da aka da Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed.
Da kyau. We bring style to life in Le Vogue magazine. We identify leaders before others recognize them. And the data is speaking for us. So if you're not in leadership, you're behind.
Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. As I said in the first segment, we'll be having a guest joining us, and gladly we have two guests joining us today. The second guest is in person of Dr. James Agajo, an associate professor in computer engineering, Federal University of Technology, Mina. It is nice having you in the studio with me today, sir.
Pleasure is mine, and thanks for having me.
How do you feel being in the studio this afternoon?
Well, it's good to be with the leadership family, a family of repute with distinct needs and poised to give very purposeful news about what's happening in Nigeria. It's nice to be with you.
All right, thank you, Doctor. And then we have an in-house analyst in person of Henry Tiohemba. Hello, Henry.
Thank you.
Henry, you are not a guest, so I cannot call you a guest because
No
you are already
problem,
familiar with the studio.
It's
All right.
fantastic. I'm happy to be
All
here
right,
again.
thank you. Dr. James Agajo, pertaining the ASU strike update, what did ASU's half-paid salary, and what do you think the consequences is on Nigerian students?
Okay, thanks again once more for having me, and it's actually an opportunity to be here to talk with fellow Nigerians who actually feel it where it actually pains, where it pinches. Update, like you said, at the moment, it's not yet Uhuru. You know quite well that on the 14th of February 2022, ASU embarked on a strike. And that strike was not actually total, but it's in the form of getting federal government get to answer its earlier promise being made with the union, and we have an MOA, that's a memorandum of agreement, which was actually signed. But it seems the principle as the federal government is not actually budging, and time calls after calls, meetings after meetings, it was actually appearing as if federal government was not does not have the will, or was not willing, and we are back on that strike. Quite unfortunate. We actually never thought it could go this far, because we know the impact and implication on our youngsters at home, and most ASU staff are affected. And this went on and on till about 8 months, and you can understand the collateral damage this thing must have caused, directly and indirectly. Now, the status as it stands now, well, we called off. So many factors actually contributed to our calling off. First and foremost, there was a court order to call off. Two, the parents and students were equally involved. Public sympathies, different committees, as in tripartite committees coming up, making calls. Religious and traditional rulers came out to make calls, and let's give this thing a human face. As to being what it is, called off. But you know that at the tail end of the talks, the speaker, House of Rep, came, intervened, and wade into the matter and gave some very wonderful promises, which were good enough to make someone go. But as it stands now, there seems not to be anything in that direction. Even to add what we call salt upon injury, when they were to be paid the last month's salary, they were paid half salary, and that actually kind of raised issues. That why is it as if you're trying to provoke a settling storm, and for now it's hanging in the balance. To be frank with you, it's not yet to follow. I must say once more. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. What do you think is the consequences of all this on university students? Because I feel I don't know if it's going to affect them or not.
Thank you very much. The consequences are quite much. I think I've been within this preview interval when the students resumed. I've been lecturing, and you can see it on the face of the students. The morale is quite low, and there is this fear, there is this suspense in the air, as in, are these people really, is this call to coming back to school permanent? Most of the students are not yet sure if their stay in the school is going to be long, or maybe it's going to be cut short by the fact that what they see on ground does not protect what will bring about permanent solution to the problem. And when this suspense is established, then you should know something will set in. People begin to sort to self-help as students. That what do we do? What do we do to see how to survive? Because normally you have a program you've arranged within this period, this interval. You go for primary, from primary you get to secondary, from secondary you get to the university. Now that it appears as if the university is being jettisoned, then you need to think otherwise, and that is not the best for our students and the country at large.
Henry, I don't know if you have something to add.
All right, sir. The last time the lecturers embarked on or declared this lecture-free day, it turned out to be a warning strike, from warning strike to indefinite strike. So this time around, they are embarking on another lecture-free day with University of Lagos, beginning their own tomorrow. Do you think lecturers embarking on strike is the best solution to ending this crisis?
Yes. For long, so many persons has been advising to the public, saying that for quite some time now, it has all been strike, strike, strike. Why not look for some other means of addressing this issue, getting to the government, making the government to understand? But you see, most often you make available what you have. What is available to you is what you actually make use of to drive through your point. And it's a universal thing. Strike, you see, democracy, demonstration, peaceful demonstration, peace strike actions is part of democracy, whether you like it or not. It's a way of airing out your view and making two parties come together and get to a midpoint on an issue. So, issue of strike that probably has been on strike to be. Let me bring to your attention that these strikes as we have been embarking on in the time past has led to some positive gains. For instance, I don't know if you've heard of TED Fund. Yes, TED Fund was a brainchild of ASU, and ASU embarked on strike at a particular point in time. Most of our colleagues then, probably those who colleagues then, they are older contemporaries, were denied so many rights just because they needed to drive home this point. And today, we're enjoying it. So many schools, even those who didn't even fight for it, are the ones benefiting by way of other higher institutions and so on. And an agency has been, or a kind of an agency has been put together that will manage TED Fund, and people have been employed. In fact, the thing has gone outside the purview of ASU. ASU is no longer in charge because a different body is now in charge. So really, it's not as if the strike team is not a way to drive home our point, but it's just that the willingness of the principal, that is the government, is not there. The will to make these things happen. And you know quite well that education is quite important. I have it in good authority that within 2019 and 2022, we have expended over close 5.1 trillion naira within 3 years in paying foreign school fees outside. You can imagine this period where we have cash crunch. If that money was to be in our economy, you know how much it was again it's going to be for us. So it's really important the public equally get to understand what is happening.
Let me check again.
Okay.
So the House of Representatives is making arrangement to provide more than 70 billion for ASU in the 2023 budget. Don't you think this is enough to address some of the ASU's
Like this is enough to bring a permanent solution to
to the
ASU
crisis?
strike.
Thank you very much. The 170 billion you mentioned, yes, so good as it may be. Government is not unaware of the demands of ASU, as we speak. Government is not unaware of the demands of ASU. And ASU, on its own, is not unaware of the present financial predicaments, financial cash crunch that has hit our economy, to be frank. But you know that at interval, we get to see people in government engage themselves in very serious, ostentatious lifestyle that begins to cast doubt. Are you sure we are really in hard economic times? You know. So, talking about these monies you're talking about, we have this thing integrated into the budget for next year, and hopefully we hope that's one thing. You know quite well that it's one thing for something to be budgeted for. It's another thing for the budget to perform optimally. You could budget for something, and at the end of the day, it's going to perform just 50%. So that 50% of that budget is what it's going to perform. And if your aspect is not part of that 50%, then it will be jettisoned. So that is one. Then two, going back to your question on don't you feel that is enough. There are some key issues that need to be addressed. But let me tell you, in all of this, if government is sincere and they can call parties together, because from the way things are now, your government seems to be telling you this is what we want to do. There is no this sense of collective agreement. I just give this to you and you take it. If you don't like it, leave it. There's no understanding. There's no coming together and say this is what we have. All of these things you see are just injected sometimes within the knowledge of ASU and sometimes not within the knowledge of ASU. But ordinarily, for the government that is really serious about tackling the issue of education head on, will you in any way be paying half salaries for lecturers that have not been paid for 8 months? So you're just telling them you don't care, and you're creating a very, very wrong impression. I can tell you for free that most of my colleagues are jetting out. Those that are not jetting out are still work in process. Those that have not gotten where to go are still searching for, which is not good for us.
So what's
I
the
heard
work?
something like some lecturers are still not happy that schools have resumed. Some are not even teaching students. That students have been in school, but when it's time for this particular course, there is no lecturer. So what do you have to say about that? Students are already in school, but there are no lecturers. Lecturers refuse to teach.
Yeah, you see, it equally goes a long way to telling you that there's an unsettled atmosphere in the university environment right now. It's not settled, even for those that have actually taken time to say, okay, we're going to lecture. The lecturing with grudges, you're not lecturing with open mind. So, and if you're not lecturing in full capacity, certainly it's not going to be yourself teaching. Like you are not delivering 1/3 of what you have, and students will suffer. You see, this thing still boils down to the federal government, and some of the actions in this at the later stage of all of these things is actually telling the public, because before now, even some members of the public were against ASU, getting tired of this strike thing on daily basis, or at the different intervals you go on strike, we're tired. But some of the things ASU has been trying to put forward is gradually being manifested by some of the actions and inactions of government in recent time, and how simple that we've called off strike, and it's an opportunity to kind of have a soft way to continue this whatever. We try to make this difficult by making sure, okay, let's give them half salaries. Without salaries again, some of these nerves that are coming down, you are weakening them. And that is why you're seeing this stuff you're talking about, lecture free day for today for some institutions, just to making sure they drive home a point. You see, it's so unfortunate. Education is the bedrock of any government, any country's development. If you are in a country that is known for technology, if you are a country that is known for art, if you are a country that is known for whatever kind of wealth, somebody taught you. And at that level, if you don't get that basic background very fair, then that system is heading for a fall. So it's really unfortunate that the kind of leadership we have don't value education.
Hey, do you have any other thing to say?
So, as in summary, so what is the way forward?
Way
Yeah,
forward.
it's very, very simple. We've always said it. It is very, very simple.
Okay.
And how the leadership of the union and the federal government come together, have a parley, a talk, put all the stakes on the table. This is our situation. You are comparing the ASU. You might be comparing Nigeria with US, comparing Nigeria with South Africa, but the realities of our time, this is what we have. This is what we can afford. Please, this stuff you have here, you can defray that. You see, one thing, when you hear all of this 1.2 trillion, 1.4 trillion, it is not the way it's being presented. Most often, the way they present it misinforms the public. 1.2 trillion. Can you spend this amount for the next 5-6 years? Little by little. But the way they present as if ASUU is saying, bring everything today. No, ASUU is not that. You are a body of intellectuals. Those in government were taught by this same person. So we know what is up there. So for government sincerity and willingness, government is not sincere. They don't even, they see the academic environment as a routine work where person one comes to a ministry, sign in and sign out, and he goes home. This is not where we are. So government has to understand what education is. And in a way, I'm expecting that they should know. Because for you not to be sending your kids to schools around our environment, you take them abroad. And if you want children to have quality education, then why not replicate that here? So the son of the common man can equally have an opportunity. And that is just the bridge between poverty and wealth.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
No, thank you.
Henry, do you have any other thing to say?
I think that time is against us.
Time is
so
against
continue
us for
this in the
today.
next episode.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is all for today's topic, which is ASUU's half-paid salary and the consequence on varsity students. Thank you, viewers, for listening. Thank you for watching. I remain your host, Mariam Rabiu, together with Dr. James Agajo and Henry Tiohemba.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
Right. That is all on today's edition of Education Telescope on Leadership TV. Thank you for watching. Please, thank you for watching and thank you for staying tuned. See you next week, same time. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.